Welcome to FinStecks from Laura and Anthony.
Hello, everyone.
Let's jump right into something pretty fascinating happening with your online shopping,
hmm
especially if you're looking at those, really tempting deals from Chinese e-commerce sites.
Yeah, places like TEMU, SHEIN, those kinds of platforms.
Exactly. We've been tracking some pretty big shifts in pricing and also how companies are trying to adapt.
And it's directly hitting what you see when you're browsing what you end up paying.
For sure. So our goal today is really to get to the bottom of these changes, why they're happening, and what it actually means for you as a shopper online.
Absolutely. It's quite something how these, policy adjustments are really changing the game for everyday shoppers. We're seeing some pretty dramatic effects from these trade rule changes.
Okay, let's start with the tariffs. They seem like a huge piece of this puzzle.
They really are.
Reports are saying tariffs on Chinese imports have gone up a lot, like up to 145% in some cases.
It's right, 145%, which is, it's a massive surcharge on those goods coming in.
Wow. So what's the immediate effect when you see numbers like that?
Well, you see it reflected almost instantly in prices sometimes. Like some things on Temu, the price has apparently more than doubled.
Doubled.
Just like that. Yeah, it really shows how those tariff costs get passed down pretty quickly.
It's almost hard to grasp that the import fees themselves could actually cost more than the item you're buying.
It really underscores just how high these tariffs are. And, companies like Temu, who rely heavily on these imports,
They don't have much choice, do they?
not really. They either absorb the hit, which is tough, or they pass it on to you, the consumer. And mostly it seems like passing it on is what's happening.
And we're hearing it's not just Temu, right? Amazon sellers, too.
That's right. Reports mention Amazon sellers are also raising prices on loads of goods because of these same tariffs. It's definitely broader than just one platform.
And we've seen some analysis, I think, from an economist based in Pittsburgh.
Yes, confirming that these tariffs are pretty much the main reason we're seeing price hikes on platforms like SHEIN and TEMU.
So it's a direct link. Policy changes, higher prices for us.
Okay. It's quite clear, yeah.
Now, another big thing seems to be the end of this de minimis exemption. What exactly was that?
Oh, right. De minimis. Basically, it was a loophole, or maybe just a rule, that let packages valued under $800,
Under $800.
mostly from China and Hong Kong, come into the U.S. without facing significant duties or taxes. It was a huge reason why shipping directly was often so cheap.
And that's gone now. Just stopped.
Yep, it's ended. And the consequences are pretty immediate and significant.
Okay, what happens now then?
Now, pretty much every single package from China and Hong Kong under that $800 mark can get hit with really steep duties.
Steep how?
We're talking potentially up to 120% of the item's value, sometimes even more. Plus, you might get postal handling fees on top.
Wow. Okay, so that just completely disrupts the model for these companies, doesn't it?
It really does, especially for platforms that built their business on sending lots and lots of small, cheap packages directly. It changes the whole economic calculation.
So higher prices are one thing, but this probably means longer waits too, right? As sellers try to figure out customs.
Definitely. You've got sellers scrambling to adjust to the new costs, the new paperwork, the whole process. And it's interesting, it could also really hit, fast fashion
Oh, right.
and maybe some of those knockoff goods that relied on slipping through easily.
Yeah.
They might become way less competitive now.
So could that actually help out, say, domestic resale shops or discount stores here?
It potentially could, yeah. If cheap imports get more expensive or harder to get,
Yeah.
people might look more towards domestic options, secondhand markets, that kind of thing.
That's a really interesting side effect, and it sounds like everyone's having to rethink their logistics, legitimate sellers, and maybe less legitimate ones too.
Exactly. And from the authorities' perspective, there's also hope this helps clamp down on illicit or counterfeit shipments. That was definitely part of the goal in closing that loophole.
Okay, multi-layered impact there. So in response to all this, Temu seems to be trying something new with shipping, this half custody thing.
Yes, that's their reported strategy. It's quite a shift.
How does it actually work?
Well, instead of the merchant in China shipping directly to you, the idea is that merchants send their goods in larger quantities, like in bulk,
Okay.
to warehouses located inside the U.S. Then the final step, getting the package to your door, is handled from that U.S. warehouse.
Ah, right. So the goal is to kind of sidestep some of those heavy import duties by having the stock already here.
That seems to be a major part of it, yes.
Yeah.
Get the goods into the country in bulk, maybe facing different fee structures, and then distribute domestically. Plus, it should speed up delivery for the customer.
Faster delivery is always good. But what about the sellers? It sounds like more hassle for them, maybe more cost.
It definitely seems to mean more logistics responsibility for the merchants. They might lose some of the, economies of scale they got when TEMU handled everything door to door from China.
So why would sellers do it then?
Well, TEMU is apparently incentivizing it, offering merchants who use this model better visibility on the platform, things like that, like a push to adopt it.
Makes sense. Okay, so for us, the shoppers, we might get stuff faster, maybe see those ships from U.S. warehouse badges.
Exactly.
But could prices still go up eventually if those U.S. warehouses need restocking with items that did get hit by tariffs coming in bulk?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Faster delivery is great, but price stability long-term. That depends entirely on how efficiently and cheaply they can keep those U.S. warehouses stocked if the bulk imports still face high tariffs.
Those costs could eventually trickle down anyway.
Precisely. It's something to watch.
So when we're browsing right now, if we see something listed as shipping from a U.S. warehouse,
Generally, you might expect a more stable price on that specific item, yeah, because it's likely already cleared whatever import hurdles it faced.
but it might cost a little more upfront than the same item shipped from China.
That's often the case, yes. You might pay a bit more for the convenience and speed of local stock. So it becomes a choice for you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Do I want the absolute lowest price and I'm willing to wait? Or do I pay a bit extra for faster, maybe more reliable delivery from within the U.S.?
Exactly that trade-off. And it's telling that apparently about half of Temu's U.S. sales are already coming from this domestic stock.
Wow, half already. That's a fast shift.
It really shows how quickly these platforms and shoppers are adapting to the new reality. It's fascinating to see the whole e-commerce system react in real time.
It absolutely is. So I think the key takeaway for you listening is that these big policy changes, tariffs and regulations, they're not abstract things. They're directly shaping the cost and delivery of lots of the goods you buy online, especially from overseas.
You really need to keep an eye on these global trade dynamics now more than ever to understand the prices you're seeing and the choices you have.
Well said. It's definitely something to keep watching. Okay, that's all the time we have for today.
Thanks for tuning in.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.